Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. We're looking at the best bets for Week 15. All the teams are back playing, and all the best players are back here as well. Andrew Erickson, Terrell Furman Jr. here to help you with the best bets for the week. Should be a fun one. We've got some lines that are, pretty large. If you're looking at, say, the Giants and Ravens, you've got some ones that are pretty tight, and some that I think are just flat out wrong. And we'll get to all of them, baby. We're going to get to all of them. Before we do, just a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Betting Pros app, sync your sportsbooks for free, and utilize all the tools, including a couple free days of the premium tools that we have available. So dip your toes in the water of wagering. That's nice alliteration. I actually am going to keep that for some other shows. And of course, don't forget to check out all of the BP interactive tools that you can find out there to help you start betting smarter, not harder. Gentlemen, it's Week 15. We got some playoff feel kind of games going on here, but I want to start here with the Pittsburgh Steelers because, Terrell, you always say it. It's always Mike Tomlin as an underdog. You love Mike Tomlin as an underdog. He's on the road. It's plus 5.5, but no George Pickens gives me pause. Make me feel better about the Steelers versus the Eagles this week.
I mean, no Pickens, no problem. It doesn't matter. Tomlin has gone out there and won games with way worse staffs. This is all you need. All you need is Mike Tomlin. You need him to be an underdog, and you need TJ Watt. As long as you have those three things, you are always good. It doesn't matter who else is out there. We've seen Duck Hodges. We've seen Mason Rudolph can't even beat Will Levis for the starting job, and Will Levis is throwing to the other team. He's throwing to the other team, and he can't beat him for the starting job because Tomlin made him better. It doesn't matter. He's reinvigorated Russ, and Russ actually, is Russ not corny anymore? I mean, Russ is going out here. They're beating the Commanders. He's doing the Antonio Brown dance and like this team is different. Look at Hard Knocks. Look how this team gets behind them. How do you fade this Tomlin team? They are completely locked in, and I think this is another spot where, hey, they're looking at this Philadelphia Eagles team. It's a little crosstown rivalry here. It's going to be a lot of people at the game. Steelers Nation is going to be everywhere. I think that it's a 50-50 split in the crowd. And this Eagles team just has a bunch of turmoil going on the inside. They're trying to figure out why they're not better. Why are they not covering these lines? If you look at the Eagles this season as a home favorite of more tthan 3.5 points, they're 1-4 ATS. They cannot handle business when they're supposed to handle business. And so I think this is a spot where I'm fading them. I'm trusting the system. I'm trusting the system. I'm trusting the system. Tomlin as a dog, you take it no matter what.
All right, take it no matter what. Andrew Erickson, what's your take on this game too? Because you and Terrell are in agreement.
I mean, I think 5.5 is just too many points. Plus 5.5, that's the number that we're getting with Mike Tomlin on the road as an underdog, which you should just basically take him on the money line, right? At this point, like just based on his track record, 8-6 on the road against the spread, money line, they're 8-6 on the road. So, I mean, if you really want a fat payday, you're just looking at Steelers win outright because they've done this act before when their back's against the wall. Oh, they don't have George Pickens. Well, I mean, George Pickens was going to have a tough matchup anyway. And if anything, I was impressed a lot by what I saw from Mike Williams last week. He's getting more integrated into this offense. It just takes one moonball from Russell Wilson to kind of change the tides of the game.
Mike Williams, 2 touchdowns.
Mike Williams, look, Big Mike. And the thing with Big Mike and why I'm not like overly concerned about, it's like tough cornerbacks, Erickson. Well, Mike Williams is going to be covered anyway. Like he's not a separator, but he can just go up and snag the ball in the air. So that's why I like Mike Williams is kind of like an underrated X factor in this matchup. I know, Joe, you talked about earlier in some shows about maybe a little bit more Justin Fields in this game. How do the Eagles respond to that type of offensive wrinkle? Mm-hmm. And Mike Tomlin's got to be loving all this A.J. Brown, this, Jalen Hurts, that. He's going to take advantage of that because you know that they're going to try to force targets to A.J. Brown, and the Steelers are going to sit on that pick six. That's what they're going to do. Jalen Hurts is going to throw more attempts than he should in this game because the Eagles have a narrative to set. Oh, no, we do like our receivers. We do throw the ball. And what's going to happen is that's going to give more opportunities for TJ Watt. This is such a psychological matchup where it plays so much into the Steelers, where the Eagles are just so stuck inside their own minds right now that they're not even focused on winning the game. Like they're focused on, we got to keep our players happy, this and that. I think the Steelers are going to take full advantage. So plus 5.5. And like Terrell Furman always says, sprinkle on the money line, those dogs.
Yeah, it's 2-1. You're getting plus 200 on the money line, I see. And yesterday I did bring up on the live stream. If you missed it, you can go back and watch on the YouTube channel. But we did the live stream now. on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. So when you ring your bell for notifications, you won't miss it. But if you did, we talked about it yesterday, and I brought up, maybe you do see some packages with Justin Fields. If you don't have, Pickens on the field, maybe you're going to see a little bit more cleverness, try to throw the Eagles off their game a little bit, especially when you get in the red zone. I could see that. Also like the over on Freiermuth props this week too. More on that in the show tomorrow we'll talk about. Let's get to the next game on the list here. Terrell, you like the Bengals at -5. Now, the Bengals are going against Tennessee Titans. Defensively, again, they have been respectable most of the year. I know the number for this game is 46, but let's talk about the Bengals here. Why are you confident in this -5? Because that defense continues against any offense really to be a liability. I know the Tennessee offense is worse than most, but we've seen lesser offenses go up there and still put up points against the Bengals regardless.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, the 20 points to the Cowboys was not impressive for that defense, and giving up that to Cooper Rush and how they were able to move the football. But I think that nonetheless, Joe Burrow and his offense is going to score points. Like, that is going to happen. And if you're not able to match them, regardless of how bad the defense is, I just think that Will Levis turns the ball over way too much. Very unprotected with the football. Even if it's not Will Levis, even if Will Levis is out of the game for some reason and it's now Mason Rudolph, he still has the same problem. The Titans are horrible on special teams. They give up block punts, block field goals, all this other stuff. So you have a third aspect of the game that I think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to take advantage of because they're a desperate team. Every single game, they're playing for their lives. You only have a shot at the playoffs if you're 9-8. You can't take a ninth loss. So this team thinks that they're relatively there. Joe Burrow is shaken up about his home getting broken into. I think that's going to turn out on the field as well. And T. Higgins is unhappy, and that's Joe Burrow's guy still. Like, he's going to go feed him the ball. Like, I think he's going to continue to get his pass catchers the football, and they're going to be really, really good. And they've been scoring on everybody. Like, everybody as of late, they've been scoring. It's just the defense has been giving up a bunch of points. And I'm good fading Will Levis. Will Levis can prove it to me. This is a complete 180 from week 1. Will Levis, you can prove it to me. I love the Bengals here laying the points. They covered against the Cowboys, and I think it can be the exact same game script where maybe this is a tighter game for a couple of quarters, but when it comes down to the end, they make the right play, get a touchdown, and we get the cover.
Erickson, the last time the Carolina Panthers were a favorite in a game, it was December 18th, 2022. That's 2 years ago, just almost to the date. So this week against the Dallas Cowboys, they are. That is an incredible thing here to sit here and have this evolution of the Carolina Panthers and de-evolution of the Dallas Cowboys. And here we are, Erickson. Not only are you confident that the Panthers will win, but you're confident they're going to cover this 2.5.
I am. And I thought you were going to open that little line with Carolina about, all right, quiz time. Who was the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers in 2022 when they were favored? If I had to guess, so it was either some rendition of Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, maybe. But you said it was in December, so I don't know.
It was in December.
Who it would have been.
Against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, so it must have been against, what's-his-face, Duck Hodges.
Well, guess what? I know they didn't cover that game. You ain't even got to tell me who the quarterback was, but I know for a fact they didn't cover the game. I don't even need to look that up. I can tell you right now.
I will find that out while you're chatting.
Okay, so
I will find this out.
Exactly. It's just again, you said de-evolution of Dallas Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
I think you meant to say destruction of the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay,
because
that's
kind of
I'll take that one.
That's kind of what we're seeing here with Dallas. Look,
by the way, Pittsburgh Steelers won 24-16. I found it right here.
They did.
It was Mitch Trubisky and Sam Darnold playing
Sam
QB
Darnold
that
as
day.
the Carolina Panthers quarterback.
Sam Darnold is a favorite. Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Anyway.
Steelers plus 5.5, folks. I mean, if you don't need any more evidence than that.
Like, come on.
Mitchell Trubisky on the road. Oh, my God. All right. So, Bryce Young, obviously, the massive turnaround. They are 5-0 against the spread over their last 5 games. They're 2-0 straight up against teams with losing records. So the only reason they haven't won any of these games over the last 3 weeks, because these have actually been good teams that they've going up against, but they've covered the spread with ease. They should have won, I think, a lot of these games. I don't need you guys to be convinced of that. And now they're getting Dallas on a short week. We know Dallas is bad. It took the Giants for them to finally win a home game. The New York Giants, who are currently 16.5-point underdogs and counting, with Tommy DeVito as their quarterback at home against the Baltimore Ravens. I just think that this is the spot. Like, this is where everything kind of comes to a head with Carolina. We've seen the improved play. It hasn't translated into wins, but now finally it's going to get them a W against a Dallas Cowboys team that, again, it's not a good team overall. Yes, they put another linebacker on injured reserve Overshaw is going to be out for the rest of the season. Yes, they have Micah Parsons. That's the one factor of their defense that maybe we're concerned about. But the thing that's impressed me the most about Bryce Young is we're seeing that off-script playmaking ability that we saw at Alabama. So even if he is getting pressure from Micah Parsons, from this pass rush from Dallas, well, he's shown over the last 5 weeks that he can deliver. He can deliver those plays on the move, when he's scrambling, when he's making plays. That's why I love his rushing prop this week. He's going to be the reason to win for the Carolina Panthers this week. So, dare I say the cardiac cats are back? Yes, they are. Carolina -2.5.
We've got a huge game coming up this week, too. Could be a Super Bowl preview. We're going to talk about that one next. Before we do, just a quick reminder, make sure you join our Discord, bettingpros.com/chat. It's a great way for you to interact with our betting community and, of course, get expert picks. So, bettingpros.com/chat. It's free. It's fun. We want you to be part of our ever-growing Discord community. Join today. And don't forget, when you download that BP app, join our contest too, bettingpros.com/NFL contest. It's available for you. If you have the app, just go right to the groups there and you could join that way, or you could just go to bettingpros.com/NFL contest. It's free. You don't have to do anything except make picks with the quick pick feature on BP, and you don't even have to make bets. You just have to make picks. So if you can't make wagers in the state you live in, for very depressing reasons, don't worry, you could still have some fun, pick some games, and win some free stuff because we're doing weekly and monthly prizes for that as well. All right, gentlemen, let's get to the big one here. We've got Buffalo. We've got Detroit. I am fascinated to see where you guys land on this one. It's going to be in Detroit, so obviously scoring could be a bonanza. Terrell Furman, let's start with you. What's your take on Detroit, Buffalo? What is the best bet for the biggest game of the week?
Yeah, simple and easy for me. Let's lay the 2.5 here with the Lions. I think the Lions go ahead and get this done against the Buffalo Bills. I can't, first of all, quick little mini rant. I cannot fathom how you can lose a game and people can say you locked up the MVP in a loss. Because when Lamar Jackson loses, that is the reason why they say, oh, we cannot give him MVP. Lamar Jackson has more passing yards, more passing touchdowns. He has beaten Josh Allen head-to-head. And Josh Allen couldn't score the football at all. Not saying Josh Allen is not a great quarterback. He's having an amazing season. But how do you lock up the MVP on a loss? And I think this is going to be the spot where they're like, okay, they take the loss, and everybody's like, the Bills are going to bounce back in this game. They're going to try to keep spitting distance of the Chiefs. And they're forgetting that this Lions team has a horseshoe up their ass. There is something good about this Lions team where they constantly find ways to win games. And at this point, I'm not fading it. No way. I saw this Jared Goff throw 5 interceptions and this team still win the game. I saw that with my eyes. I saw him throw 5 interceptions and still win the game. There's something there. We've seen Caleb Williams, and he got a coach fired. This Lions team got a coach fired because he was he couldn't beat this Lions team because he just went there and didn't even use the timeout and Eberflus. So how do you beat the Bills? You beat the Bills by running the football. Well, what do the Lions do really well? David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think both of them are going to have amazing days. Jared Goff is not going to have to do a lot of work here. This is going to be the stereotypical Lions game this season where they dominate on the ground. Jared Goff doesn't give you this all-world performance, but you look at the score and you're like, oh, wow, they came out with the win again. The defense is live. They're flying around. And I really credit the defense with all the injuries that they have to still be able to put together a unit that can be competent every single given week. So I think that we could see some scoring here. And I think that here we have a spot where this run game just dominates time of possession for the Lions, and they're able to squeak out of this with the win. Is this going to be a big blowout win? I don't think so, but 1-10 win by the Lions? Absolutely. And I think they get it by 3 or more. Give me Lions laying 2.5.
I think the only counter argument, and I like what you're saying too about this MVP race too, if Josh Allen keeps losing games, it becomes kind of tricky, especially if you're saying, well, Lamar loses games, but he's out of it. I think the difference is Lamar's lost enough games here so far, at least, where the division is slightly out of reach for them. Not completely, but slightly, especially after this week. If the Steelers win again, it gets even tighter. So that's the only thing is, yeah, the East is easy. Yeah, they're dominating their division, but they're going to win their division, and they still have a shot, even if they lose this week, to still make a run at that 1 seed 2 in the next couple weeks again. I think that's the only thing. And this game is, if this game was week 17, I think it would stick in people's minds just a little bit more. But the fact that it's week 15, there's still a little bit of time. And also, there's just that narrative of the fatigue of Lamar Jackson, which isn't right, but it's reality, where they just get sick of voting for the same guy over and over again in the media. And that is just what happens. They get sick of Mahomes, and they get sick of Lamar, and then they'll love Josh Allen, they'll get sick of him, and they'll want to go start, dropping Bo Nix MVP stuff in there. All right, let's get your take on this game. So, Andrew, dare I even have to ask where you're going? I mean, you love to talk about this being he's the Undertaker, but this is also the Coors Field, as he loves to tell us every week, of the NFL. So I got to imagine, with all these weapons here and all these quarterbacks that are playing so well, that you're going to take the over in this one?
Yep. Over. Lions, Bills, 54.5 points. Yes, it is a massive number. It's actually the highest projected total that we've seen in the NFL this season. But keep in mind, 54.5 points is the average, not the projected total, the average of resulting games played in Detroit over the last 3+ seasons. So we're hitting this number 50% of the time on average. So, and that's not considering the matchup that we have against, obviously, I don't need convincing about, we have two explosive offenses that can move the ball at will. Furman just talked about Detroit. They're going to score. They score against literally everybody. You have Josh Allen, who scored 6 touchdowns last week. He might score 6 touchdowns again in a losing effort. I don't know, but I don't really care who wins this game because all I know is there's going to be points. And even when you look at just this season, Lions games on average are at hitting 55 points per game at home. The last 5 home games for the Lions have seen 4 go for 58 or more points, 61-point average. So I understand that there might be hesitance about, well, this number's so big, there's no value. It's like, maybe there's no value, but it's going to hit. It's going to go over the total. So,
well, and I think there's a need for the Buffalo Bills after last week that, they feel, oh, man, we really, should have had that game. We should have beaten a Rams team, but that's you get caught in that trap week in between. And I think there's not desperation, but a little bit of motivation here where like Buffalo's like, okay, look, this is our new measuring stick because everybody thinks the Lions are the best team in the NFL. So how good are we? And I feel like Josh Allen will answer that bell. Don't you?
I do. And I think that from a mindset perspective, both teams are coaching into this game. Do you think the Bills are even considering punting at any point? Like if they're on their own 40-yard line, they're like, well, we got to go for it because Dan Campbell's going for it. So I just think that
he's got to get that out of his system too, dude. I mean, when you get to the playoffs, you got to stop doing that crap. It's gonna kill you. I mean, it's just.
Oh no, yeah. So that's gonna be the reason they don't win a Super Bowl, regardless of whether it happens in the divisional round or whether it happens in the conference championship or whether it happens in the Super Bowl. Bold prediction here. You heard it right here, right now. The reason the Lions get knocked out of the playoffs is because they go for it randomly on 4th down in a game and they don't get it, and it actually kicks them in the butt.
It's one of the things that worries me the most about them playing Kansas City in the Super Bowl because Kansas City with Andy Reid and the way that they operate, right? They're such a well-oiled machine in terms of operation. Maybe not always execution the last 2 years, but operation. That's not where you want Dan Campbell to be against Andy Reid. Like there's going to be a decision-making process at some point that's going to go awry, and I'm with you 100%. That's why I think you do want the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills are an easier win for you if you do get to the Super Bowl on the AFC side. I even think the Ravens are an easier win for you. It's specifically Andy Reid that I worry about the most potentially. Andrew, anything else before we move on to the next game here on this last one?
Actually, I did. So I don't have anything else. So again, love the over. I did want to bring back up the topic of the MVP with Josh Allen, like Furman laid out, talking about, well, again, let's say that we're right here. It's a shootout, over cashes, the Lions win again. So the Bills have lost 2 straight. How is there a way? So then the MVP obviously it doesn't strengthen for Josh Allen, right? If they lose again, like I can't imagine that unless it's another 6 touchdown effort and people don't care. And what if the
back-to-back losses in December? December, like that's early in the season. Okay, in December, back-to-back losses, like.
Yeah, but I mean, again, if you lose to the best team in football in the NFC, it depends. It does depend on the performance because what if it is this incredible game and it goes to overtime and none of it's Josh Allen's fault? He's not throwing any picks, right? The defense just giving up points every time. I do think it matters because I think that's the narrative from last week's game that people are writing as well. Well, Josh Allen did all he could to win that football game. What else could he possibly do? And I don't think that's wrong necessarily.
Do you think that? So I'm just trying to go through the scenarios in my mind. Do you think that it might make sense unless you think Lamar Jackson is dead as MVP, because
the market does because he's plus 1,400 now. He's going to put up huge numbers against the Giants. So
he's going to put up huge numbers this week. The Steelers could lose. So
Mm-hmm.
are the Ravens like, they're not, I mean, the Steelers have a tough schedule. So if they lose more games, the Ravens could sneak up and win that division still. And then if they win
Well, it also
And
depends
they
on what
still have
Barkley
a
does.
matchup. They do
Yeah.
still have
Look,
one more matchup.
Barkley's still on pace for that Dickerson record too.
that too.
So if Barkley has a big game against the Steelers and they romp over the Steelers, then these plus 500. He's the closest one. Allen is minus 450.
Listen to
For that to come back into the positive, even with a loss, Josh Allen would have to play incredibly poorly in this game, and they'd have to get blown out. I think that's the only way it even comes anywhere near.
It just matter how he plays. It doesn't really matter if they win. You think then?
That's what I think, especially the structure of what's going on in the AFC.
Look who they played this season, and let's look at them relative to where they're sitting right now.
Doesn't matter.
They haven't. I mean, Cardinals, Dolphins, Jags.
Who they played doesn't matter.
But every time they
played,
played, except the Chiefs, and it seems like the Chiefs win is what got him the MVP. Honestly, it feels like the Chiefs win is the marquee win that's going to get him the MVP because they lost to the Texans, they lost to the Ravens, and if they lose to the Lions, that's like, come on now, those are 3 of the 4 best teams in the league, and you lost to 3 of them.
Oh, look, man, I'm hedging with the Bills for the Super Bowl. I'm still sticking with my Lions and Chiefs, and everybody can hate on the Chiefs all they want. But at the end of the day, as you said, the Bills have shown they can compete against the Chiefs. We know that, but the Bills getting it done in big spots is still something that I'm concerned with when we get into the playoff time. That's just where I'm at. I want to get to the Chargers game too, because we always like Baker Mayfield when he's an underdog. He's an underdog this week, but it is against the Chargers, and you're on the side of the Chargers. And typically I want to be on the Baker Mayfield side, but I've been undecided about this one because I feel like the Chargers are really starting to, I mean, they're becoming a really formidable team. The injuries have been a bit of an issue lately, but let's talk about this -3 and why you're comfortable with it as a best bet this week, because this is a game that actually worries me.
Yeah, no, I feel pretty good about it. And I'm watching the Ladd McConkey news. From what I'm hearing is that he looks like he's going to go. He's been limited in practice, and that's a good sign to him playing, because if he plays, he's absolutely torching this secondary. And that's what it is for me. I think that this is the Justin Herbert, I prove to you that I'm better than an average quarterback type game, where he just kind of cooks this secondary that's been giving the Buccaneers issues all season. It's never really been about Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield actually will be fine in the game. He'll be okay. This Chargers defense is still really good. They are really, really still pesky to giving up points. It's only a handful of times that they actually, literally just a handful, against the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, where they gave up more than 3 touchdowns. So if you're not scoring 3 touchdowns against this team, I think that the Chargers can score 3 touchdowns against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I'm backing Justin Herbert's looking like an actual more than average quarterback, and I'm not even a guy that's really, really high on Justin Herbert. I think he's slightly overrated, but I think this is a really good spot where he's getting a soft defense, a soft secondary. They're not going to be able to generate as much pressure. And then I love the coaching, and I'm taking Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh is a great coach. He's got this defense really, really solidified out of a team last year whose defense was horrible, and they're essentially the same pieces. It's essentially the same pieces. He's coached them up better. And so, yeah, I'm fading Tampa Bay here. I think they're going to have some issues. I'm really, really worried because in my big money fantasy league, I have Mike Evans, and I really, really need Mike Evans to have a good week, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think the Chargers are going to play some good defense and be able to get a win.
All right, we've been talking about it all week, so now we're here on Thursday. So the Houston-Miami situation. Miami can't beat good teams. Is Houston a good team? Andrew, are we just going to look past all of it and just go to the total instead?
Yes, because I'm a coward. And I wanted to put Dolphins +3, but it just burned in my memory as I reviewed this game. Be like, why did I pick the Dolphins against a team against a winning record? Why? Why did I do this to myself? So instead, I'm just going to fade both teams. And the easiest way to do that is to take the under in the game. 47 points is a pretty high total. And I think that's if we were getting CJ Stroud from last year, where we'd feel confident about, let's take the over. CJ Stroud firing on all cylinders. Has not been the case whatsoever this year. And we just look at the trends. 6 of the Texans' last 9 games as favorites have gone under the total. At home this year, they've played 1 game that's gone over the total. They're 1-5 towards the over 45 points per game. The Dolphins, 6 of their 7 last road games have gone under the total. So, yeah, I just really want to fade both these teams in this situation. I get that the Texans are coming off a bye week. Maybe we see more of a offensive, improvement or maybe we just see more of the same from them, where it really hasn't been this high flying show and they just want to run the ball with Joe Mixon, because that's really what's worked for them the best all year long. And look, every time you feel comfortable with the Dolphins, it's like, oh, well, they're in a dome this time. Well, they played the last 2 road games that they've played that they've had with really high totals. I'm looking at the numbers here at 47.5 and 49.5. They sailed under the projected total. It was the Rams and Dolphins game that was at 49.5 in a dome. Everyone's like, oh, this game is going to go way over. Wasn't even close. The Dolphins couldn't do anything on offense because they're on the road against a good team. So for me, it's under 47 points. Again, I wanted to come on here and confidently back the Dolphins, but just can't do that to myself because I'm going to look up and be like, well, you got what you deserve, Erickson, because you bet on the Dolphins against a team with a winning record.
Yeah, it's tough. I think I'm not going to call you a coward about this. I just think it's probably the path of least resistance, to be honest with you. I think that's where it is. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to win money. And that little bit of variance is enough, I think, where it makes you nervous. I think I would just go with this under 2. So we'll see what happens there. One more game for each of the guys, and we're going to talk about the upset special and the parlay of the week. Let's get the Broncos game in here. The Broncos are 4-point favorites this week. They've earned this. They're in a spot here against the Indianapolis Colts, where you are looking at, Anthony Richardson trying to claw his way back into relevance. The Denver Broncos at home with Bo Nix playing so well, it's hard not to like where this team is going. They're a playoff team right now, and it feels like a game they should win. So obviously, Terrell, you're pretty confident that they're going to win this one very handily.
Would you believe me if I said I'm in love,
No.
baby?
If it's with Bo Nix,
I want you to want me. Yes, I'm all the way on the side of Bo Nix. And I mean, if you just go and watch my progression of how iffy I was on Bo Nix and this Broncos team, still taking them, but iffy, to now me being confident in saying that Sean Payton has figured out Bo Nix, and it's so easy. It's so easy. We're not gonna put him in danger, guys, and we're gonna play really, really good defense. And now we have a quarterback that will actually give us the football without us asking. He's just gonna give it to us sometimes, and the little whatever voodoo that the Colts had, that they kept covering games with Joe Flacco, with Anthony Richardson, that has died off in the last couple of weeks here. They're 4-5. 4 of their last 5 games, they haven't covered the spread at all. They didn't cover as 6-point dogs against Minnesota. They didn't cover against the Bills. They didn't cover against the Lions. They didn't even cover as 2.5-point favorites against the Patriots. Like, there's so many reasons of why this Colts team is just not good, and I think the market's just not catching up, or they don't want to make Bo Nix too big of a favorite. Nonetheless, Bo Nix, 6-0 as a favorite. So I'm not afraid. He's already given me all the pedigree of showing, hey, when they trust this guy of being a favorite, this Denver Broncos team, 10-3 ATS. I keep winning with this team. I want to stop betting them, but they're just a wagon, and they just haven't adjusted. And maybe it's because it's a rookie quarterback and they're playing really well, but this is a solid team. This is a playoff team. They look really good, and I'm taking Bo Nix yet again to be able to get this done. I think they're going to play really, really good defense, and he's just going to protect the football and not do too much. Just get the ball down the field.
The Commanders might not have to do too much because there's nobody left to play for the New Orleans Saints this week. Obviously, another injury bug for the Saints. They lost Taysom Hill a couple weeks ago. Now they lost Derek Carr. Oh, Alvin Kamara, somebody should put him in bubble wrap. If I'm Kamara, I'm like, look, maybe I should just call it a day. The Saints are at home, but it doesn't matter. You're seeing 7.5 here on Washington on the road. And frankly, Erickson, they should go in there after a bye and just pound on the Saints and solidify this playoff run, because they're right there. They're towards the end of the bracket right now, but the Commanders, this is a game that you have to win to maintain that lead you have in the NFC in that playoff hunt. And it feels like a game that's not lost on Dan Quinn. It's not lost on Jane Daniels and this crew. They should win this game. The question is, covering the 7, you say yes.
I do. And I know that everyone's looking at, the Ravens are just going to destroy the Giants, going to be 40-0. No, this is the game where the Commanders are going to go in and destroy the New Orleans.
So you think the Giants are covering? Is that what you're saying?
I'm
Is that what you just said? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your handicap.
No,
Is
no.
that what you just said?
There's a reason it's not a best bet, but if you're making pick sides, I'm
The
taking
Giants are not covering the 14.5 that I got on Monday or the 16.5 that it is today.
I trust the process. Double-digit dogs at home. Don't care. Trust the process.
Well, you can trust it all you want. It's gonna be 37-4 or 7 or whatever. I don't even know what kind of nuts.
I trust the process. Do what the numbers tell me to do. Regardless, the Commanders are going to cover again. If anything, I'm laying the points of the Commanders before I do it with the Ravens. So that's where I'm going to put my money. Commanders cover the spread. 8 of their last 9 games against teams with a losing record. They've also won 7 of their last 8 games against teams that held a losing record. So the Commanders is a team that entering this year obviously came in with low expectations. We weren't really sure what they would be. Rookie quarterback, new coaches are up and down the board. And they've taken care of business against really bad teams as a result, right? So I think we're a year away from them being a legitimate playoff contender. Even if they make the postseason, they're probably going to be a one and done team. Look ahead till 2025. But against a team like the New Orleans Saints, like you said, Joe, on their last leg, we don't know who else they have left. We don't even know who they're starting at quarterback because they probably don't know who the better option is at this point because I've seen Spencer Rattler. He played a couple games, wasn't great. Jake Haener is the guy that's always the guy that comes in and never looks good after Derek Carr gets hurt for the 3rd time all season long. So I just think we're forgetting that the last time we saw the Commanders, they steamrolled the Tennessee Titans, who allegedly had a good run defense. The Saints do not have a good run defense against bad teams. 29th in run defense this year. The Washington Commanders have the 3rd most efficient run game. And I know that we like to favor teams just intuitively coming off a bye week, but I think that the Commanders really need, because their guys were actually hurt, right? Like Jaden Daniels was dealing with a rib injury. We know Brian Robinson was on the injury report. Maybe Marshawn Lattimore finally plays for the Washington Commanders in a revenge.
He is questionable.
Yeah, in a revenge game. So maybe he actually suits up since they traded a 3rd round pick for him. He still hasn't played for their team. But yeah, I think that they're going to be healthier. And the Saints, man, they barely beat the Giants, as we alluded to. Again, a team that is laughable at this point. So I'm going to lay the points with the Commanders on the road. It's a homecoming, right? For Jaden Daniels, going back to, played at LSU for 2 years. I think that it's a game where he's going to want to show up and put up a lot of points. I think the Commanders roll.
Speaking of a lot of points, I'm going to say 37-10 for the Giants score. Terrell, does that sound right this week?
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to give them a touchdown and a field goal. I think somehow they scratch out a touchdown at the end.
They had a punt return for a touchdown last week. I call it back. They had 10 points wiped off the board.
That's how the Giants.
37-10. That feel right to you?
Yeah, it does actually. It does about around there.
That clears a 16.5. Everybody comfortably. Just want to put that out there. Also comfortable. Well, my run of picking the Seattle Seahawks in the last month. Oh baby, guess what? They are underdogs again. This time at home to the Green Bay Packers. Andrew Erickson has taught me something this year in 2024. Anybody that plays the Detroit Lions the next week.
Yep.
Is not good.
Biting kneecaps.
Not good. The hangover is real, and it's the Green Bay Packers this week going on the road into Seattle. And look, I know the 12th man used to be a thing. It's been a while since the Seahawks fans had a lot to cheer about. They've got a team in first place. It feels like a moment for them to really get up for this game. It's going to be a standalone primetime night. You're going to have the Seahawks fans ready to go. And I think there's going to be energy in the building here. The Packers are a good team. They know it. The Seahawks continue to find ways to create turnovers, and those turnovers create havoc in the momentum of these games, and it swings back to the Seahawks every time. They keep doing it, and they keep getting W's, and I think they're going to get another W here this weekend. So, give me the Seattle Seahawks plus 138 on the money line. Let's go to do it again. And that's not only the upset special of the week, but it's in the parlay of the week too. Give me the Seattle Seahawks on the money line. Give me the Ravens on the money line. Because, where's that guy who bet $3 million last week? This is the game to bet it on. And give me the Kansas City Chiefs on the money line against the Browns. I know it's on the road. I know it's a little dangerous. I don't care. Chiefs always find a way to win games. That's what they do. Put those 3 things together, get plus 271.
I would love to know what the price was without the Ravens money line, because that's like minus 1,500.
It's minus 1,500. It was like 270, and then moved to 271. No, it was close. It was in there. But again, I want to make some easy money. I want to take my upset special every week, betting the Seahawks, like I've been talking about on this show, every single week. And every single week is coming through, and you put all these confluence of events together. I think it's a really good situation here for the Seattle Seahawks. So, and I'll take the 2 sure things that I feel like should be Chiefs, don't let me down. Don't let this be the letdown, please. All right. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on for Terrell Furman Jr. and the Undertaker Andrew Erickson. Have a great week 15. We'll see you next time, kids.